The White House defends Biden's claim that he, quote, shut Putin down. Roll tape.
Does he really think that he shut Vladimir Putin down?
He certainly has held Mr. Putin and Russia accountable for what they tried to do to Ukraine. I mean,
you just saw what happened with the children's hospital being hit the other day.
Brett, nobody's saying they're not still capable of attacking.
But he definitely didn't shut him down.
Nobody's saying they're not still capable of attacking Ukraine. But you can't tell me, by looking at what Mr. Putin said he was going to do 2 years ago, that he's accomplished any of his strategic goals. And that's what the president was talking about.
Okay, but you can concede that he didn't shut Vladimir Putin
everything
down.
Putin said he wanted to do to Ukraine, he hasn't done.
Okay.
Ukraine is still an independent, sovereign country, and that's not by accident, Brett. That's because of our leadership.
Okay, that's quite an answer, I'd say. Robert Greenway is with us. He's a defense expert and joins us now. Do you think Biden shut Putin down?
Well, thanks for having me on, Stuart. Look, there's no question that the largest land conflict since the Second World War started because of his lack of maintaining the deterrence that we've enjoyed for decades. And so he can't spin this in any other direction. You can't allow a fire to start and then claim credit for the response of the fire department. The insurance company doesn't want to hear it, and neither do the American people.
Are we in a forever war in Ukraine?
Look, until Russia begins to pay an economic price and we have a clear path to conflict termination, it appears this war of attrition will continue, which again belies the claim that he shut Putin down. And Russia's economy is growing at 3.5% GDP growth at 2023, which is a full percentage point greater than ours. Their trade balance is in the black to the tune of $120 billion. And they're reconstituting their military as a result of it. It does appear, unless we see a strategy from the president and real leadership, which is obviously in question, that this conflict will continue and it will have an incredible cost on the people of Ukraine and, frankly, the American taxpayer.
So it sounds like you want peace talks now, some kind of resolution now or very soon. What would that look like?
Look, I think to get to conflict termination, to enter negotiation on terms favorable to the United States and to NATO and to Kiev, I think we need to apply real, genuine economic pressure. They've got to feel the pain. They've got to pay a price for it. And second, there has to be a real, tangible military threat and a leader, frankly, in Washington that has the respect and fear in Moscow. We saw that under President Trump. We have not seen that under President Biden.
But if America went after Moscow's oil, and that's where they get their revenue from, if we stop that, the price of gasoline would go up all around the world and Joe Biden would get the blame.
It's going to be difficult to manage. But look, President Trump managed to take Iran and Venezuela off the international market, and we kept prices at $55 a barrel. I think it can be done. It's going to be careful. It's going to be something that has to be done over time. But unless Russia feels the pain and pays an economic price, then we are not going to get to conflict termination.
Conflict termination. We'll be looking for that. Robert Greenway, thanks for joining us. We'll appreciate it. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.